Hello, everyone. Good evening to you, and welcome to another promising session today. In this video, we shall be taking a technical dissection of the US oil commodity, where we shall be looking forward to what to expect in this market as we get ourselves prepared for the new week. Well, since this is going to be a follow up detail to my previous video, it is important I state here that the US oil commodity happened to be the most profitable trade for us during the course of last week's trading session, as we saw our price actions moved over 900 pips, and as a result of this, we were able to have multiple entries, hereby giving us a privilege of enjoying over 2,000 pips in profit on the US oil. In that regard, I would like to share some key moments that we had during the course of last week's trading session before I go into the details of what our expectation is going to be like for this week. So, talking about last week, the week started on with a simple setup that we had here, where price action initially was caught within a flat channel that was just right around the $77.20 level and the $76.50 area. And you all know what we look out for whenever we have this kind of flat channel. We want to remain patient and wait for either a breakout or breakdown of the channel for trading opportunities. So with a buy stop order sitting above the resistance line here and a sell stop order sitting below the $76.50 level, we were waiting for a trigger of either of these positions to give us a clue into where price action will be going for the week. And what we saw here was a breakdown of the $76.50 level, triggering our sell position at this point, and it was at this point that the sell momentum for the week began. And we continue to add more position as price action continue to break down significant structures, just like the $75 area here, where we anticipated another position to be added. So we saw the breakdown of the $75 area, price action triggered another position here, and we continue to enjoy the move all the way down into the $72.50 level. And it was at this point we had our first TP target for the week hit. So we were able to make about 600 pips in profit at the beginning of the week here. And we looked forward to see how price action will be reacting to the $72.50 level to decide what our next line of action will be. And though we missed this opportunity, there was a bullish momentum that started above that structure. And I think that happened in the middle of the night. So I personally missed this move. But the morning of the second day, we anticipated another structure here after identifying the simple setup on our 15 minutes time frame. And what happened afterwards was the breakdown of that $73.80 level, triggering another sell position in this market. Then we saw this momentum happen, price action came back up, break down to $72.50 level, and at this point we continue to ride the move all the way down, breaking that $70 level for the first time in the last 2 years. And as that move went on, we were able to add more position at breakdowns of key structures. For instance, we anticipated the breakdown of the $68 level. We saw the breakdown here. And as soon as price got into the $66.50 level, we begin to see some bullish pressure come in. If you do want to have a closer examination of how we took advantage of this trading opportunity last week, I will be dropping the link to this commentary in the description box below. However, if you are watching this video on my YouTube channel, you will be seeing the link to this commentary at the top right hand side of your screen. So, with that being said, here let's dive into the current market structure and let's anticipate what to look out for in this market as we get prepared for the new week. Well, I would like to state here that the slump in price of the oil in the last week has nothing to do with the supply and demand in this market, but I will um, think that this has something to do with the crisis of confidence at the banks, the US bank, which happens to provide the liquidity for trading this commodity. So with the situation we have right here on the daily time frame, it is quite obvious that since price tested the $65 level here during the course of last week, we saw how that level has been gathering some buying momentum around that area. However, if we take into consideration the structure here, as you saw before the breakdown of that demand zone, we saw that price was initially caught within a channel between the $83 area and the $70 area. And with the breakdown of the support line of that channel here during the course of last week trading session, this is more or less a technical bearish signal, as we expect that as soon as price break down a significant structure like this, we want to be seeing it as a bearish signal. And there is a likelihood that price action may come back to do a retest of structure before the anticipation of another wave of bearish momentum could happen. So it could be a retest of the $70 level or the retest of this trend line here before the bearish momentum happens. But if we start seeing bullish momentum right above the structure, we might likely be getting ready for another wave of bullish momentum. But before I scale down into the lower time frame where I was able to identify a simple setup that we can use to guide trading activity for this week, I would like to refresh our memories regarding this current structure and most importantly, that $65 level which I have identified around this area. And in order to do this, I would want us to quickly look at the weekly time frame to see the importance of the $65 level in relative to this current market structure that we have here. So when we scale up into the weekly time frame, this is what I was able to see here. And I realized that the $65 level has also been a major determinant of price action for quite a while now. So if we zoom out, you will see that if we go to as far back as 2005, we can see how the $65 area has been a significant structure in this current market. Now, coupled with the $65 area, I was able to identify a bullish trend line as well. And this went to as far back as 2016. And after connecting the series of higher lows here, I had this bullish trend line figured out. And at this point in time, if we look at what is currently happening in the last week, you can see how price action now falls around the bullish trend line here, where it also shares a confluence with that $65 area. So you would agree with me that we are at a critical point in this market where they need to see how price action will be reacting to the $65 level will be a good assistance for us to decipher what the market is going to be doing in the coming week. So are we going to be seeing buy pressure resume above the $65 level one more time, just as it has been doing in the past, where price action would also respect the bullish trend line to incite another wave of bullish momentum? So that is one perspective we are going to be taking into consideration as well. Or are we going to be seeing a situation here where price will break down the $65 level, retest of structure to incite another crash in this market? Well, let's scale down to a much more lower time frame to look to see what I was able to identify around here. And definitely, I think that with this structure on the lower time frame will be a very good um, leverage for us to be able to make our individual decision this week. So in that regard, I will be scaling down to a much more lower time frame like the 4 hours time frame. And on the 4 hours time frame, this was what I was able to identify here. So I took into consideration what has been happening since the beginning of this month, that is the month of March. And what I was able to see here was quite interesting as I have a beautiful descending channel which has further emphasized the strength of the sellers at this particular point in time. So with the connection of the lower highs and the lower lows here, we have this descending channel. Now, in addition to that descending channel, I was able to also identify a trend line here, which happens to demarcate the upper part from the lower part of the channel. But that is not what we are going to be focusing on this week. But this current structure here, since the mid week of last week, where we saw our price action after breaking down the $70 level, which was the first time price action will break down that structure since December 2021. We saw how price has been caught within a channel between the $65 head level and the $70 area, giving us a clue that there is an indecision in this market as participants are still trying to figure out where price action would likely go from this current structure. So now that we're heading into the new week, this is the area where we shall be focusing on. And you all know what we look out for whenever we have this kind of setup. We want to see a breakout or breakdown of this channel to give us a clue of where price action will be going. And since we have this week list with a lot of macroeconomic events, I would advise you to check the economic calendar in that regard, as we this event will definitely be bringing some liquidity into this market. So what I will be looking at from a technical standpoint here is to see price either break out of the $70 area to incite a reversal pattern, which will definitely be a counter trend opportunity evolving into a retracement of the previous impulse leg in this market to the upside, probably breaking out of the resistant line of the descending channel to further give us a confirmation of the strength of the buyers in this market. Then another thing I will be looking forward to as well is if price action breaks down the support line at the support line of the descending channel, which also shares a beautiful confluence with that $65 area, which has been serving as a support line in the last 72 hours in this market, then that will likely give us a bearish signal where selling pressure below the structure on our lower time frame will further confirm the strength of the sellers in this market. So our center of focus for this week is simply between this channel, between the $70 level and the $65 area for this week. But be rest assured that I will be jumping in the comment section of this video on my TradingView platform to give you an update on what our expectation is going to be like for the week after monitoring how participants in this market will be reacting to this current structure during the early hours of the new week. I hope this video has been of immense help in making your personal decision on this US oil for this week. And if it did, kindly support this project by clicking the like button. Don't forget to follow me on my TradingView platform at Dark Sherry so that you can be part of my daily commentaries as we get prepared for the trading session during this week. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. And I hope to see you right in the comment section on Monday as we get prepared for the new week. Bye bye.